Touchdown Club for the last 21 years, where I do Q&A with all the big names, including Darren and Peyton Manning and all the folks. And so today the tables are turned a little bit, and that I don't get to do that. The governor gets to do that. I know she's very excited about that. And I do want to say, in introducing her, she is the 47th governor of our fine state. Yeah. One of the great things is that I knew Governor Sanders when she was a teenager, and when she was in this house as a youngster, and her dad was governor. I've had a chance, when you play for the Razorbacks, Dan, you get a lot of opportunity to meet all the governors, and we have. And how amazing is it that here's Sarah back here in the governor's mansion as our governor. I will say this about Governor Sanders: she loves our state, she loves her family. And she also loves sports and the Razorbacks. She is super passionate, and I love that about her. It just goes to show you, just because you're a governor or a doctor or a preacher, you can have a passion for sports. And so very excited to hear what you're going to do with Darren today. And of course, Darren McFadden, who, when I played, I got a chance to play with some of the greats to ever, Steve Atwater, who's in the NFL Hall of Fame, Dan Hampton, NFL Hall of Fame Gold Jacket. And when you look at the greats to play at Arkansas, there have been a lot of great ones. But when it comes to saying the GOAT, the greatest of all time, and I do a radio show for 25 years, and it's never a question who is the GOAT at the University of Arkansas, and it's, of course, Darren McFadden. We were talking beforehand, Governor, and there was no hesitation back then where Darren McFadden was going to go to school. He played high school ball at Oak Grove. There was no question. Now, listen, if NIL would have been around, maybe there might have been. I don't know. But thankfully, there was not. But he was going to Arkansas no matter what. But when you think of this guy, two-time Heisman finalist, which he should have won one of those two. I mean, it's just a fact. He was a 4th overall pick in the NFL draft, played for both the Raiders and the Cowboys. And you look at him now, he's still in great shape. And one of the things I've learned about Darren is that Darren was a great football player, the greatest of all time. But Darren is even a better person. You talk about a humble guy. And again, I've been around the biggest names there are. This guy is as humble and friendly and kind to everybody. And I've never seen him have a day off in that regard. So I know, Governor, I know you're excited because this guy represents us, whether it be here or wherever he's at. So without further ado, in addition to our governor, please welcome Darren McFadden, everybody.
I just want to thank everyone for coming out. I appreciate you guys for coming out and supporting. Being an Arkansas kid, growing up here, man, means so much to me to just be able to be back here and be honored here on Black History Month, man. So I'm thankful for that, and I'm thankful for everybody here, and I'm looking forward to being interviewed by the governor.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and mark this down as one of the coolest things I got to do as governor. So excited, so honored you're here. Unfortunately, Basil stole a lot of my introduction and my material, but I guess that's what I get for letting somebody who talks for a living speak before us. But David has been such an incredible force in Arkansas. He's one of the most passionate people, not just about Arkansas sports, but about the state as a whole, and any event where they are looking to raise money and do good and help people across the state. He's one of the first people that is called on and helped make today happen. And so we really appreciate all you do for the state of Arkansas and your love of the Razorbacks. Now, yes. And I had to make sure I said all of those really nice things about him. One, because I try to get interviewed by David at least a few times a year, and I want him to be nice. But more importantly, because despite the fact he was an incredible player for the University of Arkansas, and arguably in the top 5 or 10, I would say the number one unquestionably, as David said, any time it is discussed who is the best player to ever play the game at the University of Arkansas, it's one of the few things in this state where there is 100% consensus that it's Darren McFadden. And if you can get Arkansans, especially Razorback fans, to agree on anything other than the officials are terrible, sorry, and that Darren McFadden is the best player to ever play, that's a big deal. And you know a little bit about that, don't you, Chancellor? So we are so excited to have you here, though. I mean, truly one of, as David said, not just the best to play the game, but somebody who brings such a humble spirit, such a commitment to the state. You grew up here. A lot of us watched you beat our alma maters in high school, and we're sad about that, but you stayed here. And you've kept coming back. You continue to always talk about like your love and experience of being from Arkansas. Do you mind telling us and sharing a little bit about growing up? You're one of 12 kids, and so certainly not a quiet moment, I'm guessing, at your house ever. We only have 3, and we barely keep the walls up here. So love to hear about just your experience growing up in Arkansas and what it meant to you to stay here and then get to play for the Razorbacks.
Yeah, I always tell people, for me, growing up right here in Little Rock, 1 of 12, 7 boys, 5 girls, and it was always a fun household, man. I grew up in a household. I wasn't a sheltered kid, so I knew about a lot of stuff growing up, whether it was good or bad. I knew about a lot of stuff, and it helped me kind of lay my path of life out in front of me. I'm seeing a lot of things that I seen growing up, and being able to tell myself, it's not a decision that I want to make, and I want to take a different path than some of the things that I've seen, and being able to be offered by the University of Arkansas was always a dream for me, and having a coach like Houston Nutt at the time, it was just the icing on the cake for me. I tell people it's one of the best coaches in the world, hands down, my biased opinion, and I'm still great friends with him to this day, and just being able to go and represent the state of Arkansas and still being able to come back here, close to 20 years later and still be honored and have as many people here. And, I'm thankful for that. And I just really appreciate everybody for coming out and being supportive.
Right. Thank you. Obviously, you've played in a lot of football games, and 2-time Heisman nominated, should have been the winner. Once again, Razorback fans remember everything, and we'll relitigate them many, many years after. But you've played, obviously, a lot of football. You and I had a chance to talk about some of your favorite games. What's the most memorable game that you ever had a chance to play in, and what did it mean to you to get to be part of that?
I tell people, for me, my most memorable game is playing against LSU in Baton Rouge and beating them in triple overtime. That's my all-time favorite right there. A lot of people would always ask, they would think about when I rushed for 321 yards against South Carolina. I tell people that was a great personal game for me right there, but being able to go down and beat LSU in Baton Rouge, #1 in the country, nobody other than Razorback fans giving us the chance to win. Maybe not even some of the Razorback fans giving us the chance to win, but going down there and just believing in each other as players and our coaches believing in us and just going out there and, we stuck with it through 4 quarters and went into 3 overtimes and was able to pull that one out. And I always tell people that's one of my best games, hands down, my favorite Razorback game, other than Tennessee in Arkansas back in '96, I think it was. It's one of the most memorable ones for me, though, for sure.
I think we all remember that LSU game too. Anytime Arkansas beats LSU, it's a memorable moment. So hopefully we have a few more of those in our future. We would certainly like to see that happen. Playing on the biggest stage in all of sports, playing it for the NFL, you had a decades-long career, interacted with some of the biggest stars to ever play the game. You've always remained true to who you are and where you came from. What are some of the biggest lessons that you learned in playing at the highest level?
I think for me, coming in as when I came in as a freshman, I mean as a rookie, I just tell people I'm going to play football, I'm going to football practice, and I think it kind of put a bad taste in my mouth because guys were saying they were going to work, and I just looked at it as football practice, and so it was, I guess going into it, I learned more of the business side of it. When I went into the NFL, I didn't think about that in college. I always just thought about I'm going to football practice, I'm going to work out or whatever. And then when I learned the business side of it, but it's part of the game, it's part of the business. But for me, I always enjoyed playing football. I was thankful to be able to be the number 4 overall draft pick to the Oakland Raiders and have a 10-year successful career with most running backs average careers, excuse me, 3 to 4 years. Being able to play 10 years, it was amazing, and it was it was a blessing. It was a blessing and definitely a dream come true for me.
Great. You made football look easy, but I know life hasn't always been easy. And you've certainly faced, I think, some really big challenges in your life. And what I love about you is how open you've been and how much you've talked about some of the struggles, some of the challenges that you had and that you dealt with personally, especially after football. And I think when people are willing to share the struggles that they have, it can help so many other people. And so I can't tell you how much I commend you for being willing to be so public about some of the difficult challenges that you faced, but more importantly, that you've overcome. I think it would be really meaningful if you would share some of the big challenges that you've overcome, how you made the decision to do that, and any advice that you have for people who may be struggling with some of the same things.
Like I say, for me, growing up here in Little Rock, I grew up in a home that wasn't sheltered. I knew about drinking, I knew about drugs, I knew gang members and stuff like that. And so it was something that I always tell people growing up, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I knew what I didn't want to do. And there was some of the things that I seen around me. And so I knew that was something that I didn't want to do. I wanted to try to stay on that right path. And playing football and having my dad stay on me is something that helped me out a whole lot. He wouldn't have it any other way different. My dad is one of my biggest critiques, man. I think back to the South Carolina game. I rushed for 321 yards, and I was going up to him after the game. I'm like, yeah, I know he don't have anything to say. I'm like, yeah, what'd you think? He's like, well, if you would have did this, you would have did that, you would have had 500 yards. And so, and so I just look back on that, and then when I go back and watch that film, I actually see plays out there where I left yards on the field. And so I know it wasn't him getting on to me or saying I didn't have a good game. It was just saying that look at the bigger picture of you can be better and you can do more. And so that's something that I just always took in life. I just look at situations and try to make the best out of them. And, that's something that I've been doing pretty good in my life. I dealt after I retired from playing football. I went through a part of my life where I was dealing with a lot of depression and drinking and alcohol, and I pretty much turned into a daily alcoholic. And that was what my life had resumed around for the last 4 or 5 years or so. And then here, close to 3 years ago, March 18th of 23, that was my last sip of alcohol, and I haven't had one since. And still staying strong and just moving forward with that.
It's incredible. Thank you for
Thank you.
sharing that. And congratulations on doing that. I know that is not an easy journey, but proud of you for doing it and for sharing it with other people to help them along the way. Obviously, people don't accomplish the huge list of things that you have all by themselves. I think that anybody who has managed to be successful in sports or in life or in business can usually list off a handful of people who helped get them there. I certainly have a long list and am thankful for people who have encouraged me or checked me along the way. Who are some of the people that had the biggest influence and that you really looked up to and admired that you think helped get you where you are now?
I would say a lot of mine started at home with just my family and just seeing the people around me, how my parents want me to be, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, and just the way that they raised me, they wouldn't have it any different. And so I feel like it started at home for me, and then as I got older, I had coaches and teachers that played a big role. Now I have one of my junior high teachers, Lisa Henson. She's retired now, but she had I think she retired in Springdale, but she's one of my 7th grade teachers. I tell people when we first met, we hated each other guts, and so over the years we came closer, and she's my best friend still to this day. We still keep in contact, and I love Miss Henson. Then I think about people like my high school coach, John Mays. He played a big part in there. I would say he's probably the main reason why I committed to Arkansas as a junior in high school, because he pretty much just laid it out on the line to me. Say, if you know you want to go to school, there's no point in wasting nobody else's time and wasting your own time. It pretty much like, I was set on being a Razorback, so it wasn't a choice for me. So I went ahead and committed as a junior in high school, and I never wavered from that commitment, and I just want to stay true to the state of Arkansas and just represent the state of Arkansas, and that's something I try to do and continue to do to this day.
It's great. I want to make sure I don't miss this opportunity. You mentioned your family and how it started at home. And if y'all don't mind, just stand up. I know a lot of your family are here. I'd love to recognize you and thank you for being here. And
That's sister, mom, Phil, uncle, dad, stepmom, and my wife. Stand up, woman.
thank y'all so much for being here and for supporting Darren and getting him to this place. I think that there are probably thousands of young kids that are growing up in Arkansas right now that want to be you, that watch your clips. So many kids, I think, dream of playing on the big stage, and I think you have such an ability to influence so many young people, and that's why I love that you're here, not because of all of the accolades that you have in football, but for really what you give back. You have shown up time and time again to support the people of Arkansas, and I would love to hear, what is your message to young people growing up in this state? The boys that want to be the next Darren McFadden, 2 of them live at this house, by the way. And we got some work to do to get quite to where you are, but you've accomplished so much, and would love to hear your advice to any young person growing up in this state.
For me, the first thing I would tell younger kids is it always starts at school. If you don't get your school work or take care of your school and classes, anything, none of this would be possible without that. And that was something for me in high school. I made sure I took care of my grades. I had my troubles in school and everything, but for the most part, I tried to make sure I really took care of my grades and stayed on top of everything. If you're going to commit to playing football or want to play one of these sports, whether it's football, basketball, whatever you want to commit to in life, I always tell people, make sure you put 100 into it, because you're only going to get out of it what you put into it. And so when I tell people that, when I'm out there working out in the off season running 110s, I'm running full speed when nobody is watching. So when you see me run a 70-yard play on Saturday, like, man, he looked like he was ready for that. It's something I've been training all summer for. And so I kind of applied that to my life. Whatever I'm doing in life, I want to put 100% into it, because I know that'll be the results I get out of it. And those results, if I put 100% into it and everything that I could do, I'm okay with whatever results that is, because I know I put my all into it and I left it all on the line.
I think you clearly were raised right. So, and again, I can't tell you how much we appreciate your willingness to be here. I know there's a lot of people who want a chance to say hello in person, so I want to reserve time for that. I have one really important question that I might get in trouble for asking, but do you have any predictions for this year's season? What the Razorbacks can expect? I need you to give us some hope here. I'm a lifelong fan. I want to see us win, so no pressure, but we may need you to put the jersey back on and come play. You still have a year of eligibility, right?
I do. So this is what I always tell people, I don't like to do predictions and things. I like to see the first couple of games before I just try to put a big predicament on things. But I like what Coach Silverfield is doing up there. Me being a kid from here, I love seeing kids from the state of Arkansas commit to the University of Arkansas. So I love that he's doing that, bringing in-state kids in. And I think we're going to be good, man. He's got a heck of a lot of good players that he's bringing in, so I can see us easily winning 8 games.
Yeah.
That sounded like a surprise right there.
You can tell he's obviously already better at this than I am, because I just already predict an undefeated season. So, hey, I like that you like to see a couple games before you jump out there. I just go ahead and go all in. But I really, again, want to say thank you for taking time to be here. Thank you for making Arkansas so incredibly proud. You lead with heart, and we are so grateful for the way that you give back to our state. This is a state who loves you so much, and you have returned that every step of the way, and you've never shied away from who you are, where you're from, and what you're about, and we're so appreciative of that. This event is obviously meant to celebrate Black History Month and some of the great achievements and some of the stars from our state, and undoubtedly you are at the top of that list, and we're so grateful for your willingness to spend time with us today, but more importantly, for all that you do to continue to lift Arkansans up, to tell your story, and to help encourage them along the way. So thank you so much for being not only the best player to ever wear the uniform, but for encouraging so many kids to do the right thing along the way. And we're so proud of you, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you very much. I thank you guys for having me, and I appreciate everyone for coming out. Thank you.